All right. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Sorry for the late start. It's been a long day. But we are back with some more Roadwarden. Let's see. Last time we were on our way. Gosh, I can't actually remember what they're called now. Oh, right here. Tribe of the Green Mountain. We were on our way to see them, because that's where Asterion might be, or at least was headed. But I just don't actually have enough time in the day to get there. So we're gonna have to camp out before we go. I'd like backtrack here. So I'm thinking we just camp out at the watchtower. I mean, we could stay at Foggy's. Certainly have enough coin. I don't think we can sleep right away either. Let's see. I have the save right there. Oh, cool. You take a short ride through the road surrounding the tower. The branches, rocks, plants, and bones are cleared. The trail evened out, and in many spots you notice large prints left by the boulder-like feet. Eudosha has kept her word. Crossing these hills should be much easier now. That's cool. We can actually... How far is it to Creeks? Back. We could go to Creeks, let them know that it's been taken care of. The roads, anyway. I mean, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. I think we have enough time. Try to utilize the rest of the day. We're talking about the matchmaking. Maybe there's some locals looking for a match in other villages. After a few minutes, you find yourself sitting at a table with Soshi, a dark-haired 20-year-old who some call a woodcutter, others a singer. In both of these roles, her massive stature must be of help. When she walks, she either carries a large axe on her shoulders or swings it around, towering over her tribesfolk like a chieftain from the tales of war. She admits she enjoys a friendly shag from time to time, but can't see a future for her in Creeks. Enough of these friends lose their lives in the wilderness. I start seeing cats and gargoyles in every shadow. I'd rather have a calm, safe years at the side of a pretty little woman whom I'll see in my bed in the evenings. Though, you know, friend, not just her. She lets out a sonorous laughter. You mention that you don't know if she'll be able to keep her trade after moving away, and she strokes her axe with affection. I'd miss the woods, but who knows? My tribe can't be the only one that cuts trees around here, aye? You try to ask her about her worldview, but she gets bored by the topic. We here, she looks around, have no temples and priests, and I don't aim to become one. Very well. Alright, Ela. About the Eastern Path. Did you face any troubles? I made a deal with Eudosha. Her sentinels are going to... Oh yeah, it's okay. Her sentinels are going to look after the roads that surround the watchtower. The description of the golems makes him tighten his shoulder cloak. When he grabs the casket, he holds it tightly. And you're sure they aren't going to attack anyone. Seeing your unconvinced smile, he counts down 3 bones without looking at them, lost in his thoughts. One day he'll be grateful for what I've done. He laughs. You took almost all the savings we had, but I'm sure it's a good investment. Okay. I was wondering about Ephraim. He slowly starts to speak, making sure his tribesfolk don't eavesdrop. His soul is clouded. He thinks we have no right to waste what the dead have sacrificed for our sake, and that we disrespect them by staying weak. But all of it is just a cloak that hides him. He cares not about respect, but about his guilt. It takes a bit of convincing before he explains what he means by that. Our father died from claws, our mother from a bad birth. We used to have 5 brothers and sisters, all of them dead now. Some maybe could have been saved, but not all, and surely not by being stronger. Yet Ephraim keeps thinking he had every opportunity to fix the tragedies, and he's to blame for letting them down. Him and I, both. He falls silent. But at least I put my shame to use. He reaches for his tools again. We already have everything that we need. A beautiful home, enough food, fewer beasts than ever. It's going to be a rough lifetime for us. He takes a swing, but our kids will be fine. Alright. I guess I gotta... Well, I think I have to go to Foggy's now. Let's see later. Travel. Dang it, yeah, okay. It doesn't matter. Kind of a bummer though. Let's go to Foggy's. It's fine. It's better to waste a little bit of time in the morning. We should have more than enough time. I enter the tavern. Let's buy some meals. Okay. Okay, she doesn't want to buy anything from me, so we'll go ahead and sleep. And we'll eat in the morning. We should be good to go. And of course, something to slow me down. Another day of muddy roads. Alright, I'd like to eat. You old toasted acorn bread, a large slice of mouflon cheese, and a piece of roasted pike. Alright. Time for me to go. Travel. Old bridge. I should have done this. Cut it down and then left, but... Oh, now we're dirty. Alright, so we clean it up. Travel forward. We follow the game trail. Alright. Here's where it got a little haywire before. Tether Haas, go to the cave entrance. Check inside with the gambeson on. This is where this ghastly screech cuts the air. You step back, dropping a part of your equipment. A creature's running at you. Grab my axe. Did some damage to the gambeson. Your creature jumps at you right away with arms and legs spread on a lethal hug. You're too slow to react. Yeah, okay. I run up the rocks to crush its shell. I hurt it as quickly as I can, and we finish it off. Okay, we take a file of its blood. We burn it. Turn to the cave. Let's see. Okay, so this is one of the hunters. Yeah, I wish I'd found out about this earlier. Let's see. Clean this dip in the stream. A little bit better. Man, and this shit just took all day. Travel. Should make it to the old giant. Okay, approach the statue. I guess we can pray to it? Kneel? You rest your knees on the ground to show your respect and humility like right scholars do when they enter the temples. Okay, that didn't do anything. Maybe pray? Say a few words and your thoughts are unusually keen and focused as if you entered a new stage of the ritual. Try my best to imagine how a pagan would pray. Okay. You try to address your ancestors, the forest spirits, and the sky itself, but to no avail. Maybe the things you say are off the mark, or maybe the statue needs a specific password you can't guess by yourself. Okay. Oh well, it's worth a try. Carry on. Seeing how steep this part of the road gets, you dismount. It will be safer for you to get a bit tired now than to push Haas onto the verge of fatigue. Take a sip of water and start climbing. The road is winding and narrow, but it would fit a single wagon if it wasn't for the sporadic rocks and boulders blocking the path. Some of the larger ones are resting just in the middle, and as you look above, you struggle to recognize where they come from. They were placed here on purpose. Oh, no, we're hungry. Okay, we're gonna eat some wild plants. Oh, can't use inventory right now. The strong wind, the wooden bridge connecting the rock ledges, the unusual terrain, you can't pay attention to any of that now. A creature larger than a bear steps away from its nest and screeches at you through its sharp, black-tipped, golden eagle-like beak. It spreads its wings as wide as a barn gate. You stay in your saddle. Examine the beast. Its movements are deliberate and confident. It makes a tiger-like leap, then stands still like a statue, while the brown, white, and yellow feathers covering the front half of its shell are still dancing with the wind. The wings hinder your sight, so you spot only glimpses of the cat-like claws and the clay-like fur. Its large chest rises and falls slowly. The noble griffin's yellow eyes speak only of violence. Its curved beak is longer than your forearm, and the talons on its front paws are like sickles. You don't doubt that its cruel promises may not only be fulfilled, but are a certainty. A single human with but a simple blade and a crossbow would never survive clashing with a monstrosity of this size. You don't have more time to mull it over. The beast leaps toward the rock face. After it flaps its wings, the gust of wind brushes your hair. Time for us to go. Can we carry on? Like... okay, let's try and move forward, I guess. The winds, cold sweat, and altitude make you want to simultaneously take off your cloak and put on some heavier clothes. At least Haas doesn't seem to care. You take deeper breaths. The path ahead seems gentler. There are no more trees. But you're surrounded by grasses, pebbles, sporadic bushes. You look down at the herds gathering around the stream, the rustling leaves and the birds, large and small, flying above the forest of the peninsula. From here, everything seems calm. Let's see. Too bad most people will never catch such a view. A loud screech reaches you from up the path, where at the top of a crag you see a massive saurian standing on 4 limbs. It's displaying proudly its dark green skin, with a bit brighter stomach, and orange stripes on its legs and eyebrows, as well as the tail, which is swinging left and right. The size of the monster makes you stop, but before you turn around, you realize there's a short woman sitting on its back, dressed in a red gambeson and an iron helmet, with green pants that blend in with her mount. You can't see the details of her hair, but she's not attacking you just yet, resting the blunt edge of her spear on the ground. Her other hand holds the reins, attached to a bridle, put on the monster's head, cramping its wide mouth. She raises her weapon in a greeting and speaks in a language that you've only heard used among the elders raised in distant villages. The old speech is almost forgotten outside of the most remote pagan tribes. All I have left is the city tongue. I can't understand you. See, and this is where, if we were a scholar, we probably could. She stays still for a few breaths, then uses sounds that she's clearly not used to saying out loud. You lost? During the following minutes, you both try to get used to each other's speech, though sometimes you can't find any common ground, depending on the combination of the city tongue and gestures. You explain that you're heading to the village at the end of this path, and she asks if you have a message for the chief or the shaman. Say it to me. I need to speak with them myself. I'm the local Roadwarden. Even though she doesn't give any clear command to your mount, it takes a few steps forward, moving without needing to speed up quickly. After a confident leap, the beast lands on the crag right above you, allowing the warrior to look at you closely. Roadwarden? She says in the city tongue, like Asterian, to city folk. You nod. What do Roadwardens really do? Yeah, right. Um... Yeah, I guess probably just distance. The city of Haviven pays me for making the road safer. You hear a monstrous roar coming from the mountains. The woman looks around with a raised spear, and when her eyes return to you again, her voice is harsh. Nothing good comes from the city, she says without hesitance. Nothing and no one. She pulls the reins and makes the Saurian turn around, then leaps away up the path, staying on the top of the crags. Something's happened there, she shouts from a distance. Road's not safe. Come, we'll speak in the village. I tell Haas to keep up with the beast. You ride through the corridor of rock faces, led by the jumping Saurian. The woman in the helmet blows a large horn, longer and thinner than a ram's, with enough power to cause an avalanche. And once you reach the massive wooden gate blocking the path, it's already open. The few people you've seen so far are well equipped, wearing heavy jackets, shields, and steel weapons, though some of them seem a bit old. Your surroundings get more spacious, with small garden patches and stone sheds spread on both sides of the path. Riding by the onlookers, you enter a trot, then a walk. The locals pay as much attention to you as to your mount, commenting on your appearance in the old speech. Unlike the guards, the workers are carrying rather simple tools, many of them made of bones or rocks. Their woolen, undyed outfits are appropriate for hard labor, worn and patched up, but also heavy, protecting their owners from the cold mountain winds. The one thing that differentiates them from one another is their headgear. Every person you see is wearing something on their head, mostly ear-covering kerchiefs, vividly dyed with embroidered patterns of leaves, flowers, and gems. They are sea folk, no doubt about it. They have long limbs, hardly any beards, and the few children you see have uncovered hair, wavy and dense. Yet their paleness is unusual, as if they spend little time outside. Your guide is nowhere in sight, but so far no one has tried to stop you. I don't want to trample anyone. I dismount and look for the Saurian rider. She waits you at the cave mouth, where the teeth and tongue are so distinct you doubt they were shaped without the villagers' interference. The crisp air carries the scent of late summer meadows. Aside from the discussions of farmers and guards, you hear the roaming wind and the gloating ibexes, but the terraces and crops around you are quiet, making you realize it's the first village you've seen in quite a while where there's no constant noise of humming water or of heavy labor. A safe place, but don't be here for long, you hear from your guide in her lacking city tongue, though still much better than your old speech. She's not the only guard in sight. The spears, slings, and clubs are getting a bit too numerous for your taste. We need you not. She looks around, but only a few people nod in agreement. Most of them are giving you puzzled looks. What's your gift for the chief and the shaman? You realize she's more than 40, and even if she has a small stature, no one seems eager to replace her as a negotiator or to question her authority. The accent of those who chat in the distance is so dense you can't catch a single word. I need to bring your tribe a gift so I can see your leaders? She lets out a dishonest laugh. Why would they want to see you? She tries to say something you can't understand, and after a few attempts she picks up a small rock. Your problems, she keeps in front of her chest, then points to the mountains above you, our lives. I'm trying to find Asterion. She gives you a grim look. Our shaman too, but I can't talk about it. I'm trying to find a few hunters from the village of Creeks. Were they around? She repeats her question, then translates it to the armored villagers to her left and right. After they shake their heads, she meets your eyes again with a confident nod. Not in years. I show her my possessions. Do any of these interest you? She pulls out some items, but she spares them nothing more than a shrug. What would you want then? With a playful voice, she tries to tell you something complex, even asking her companions to help them translate it, but finally gives up. Something rare to us, a good blade, good drink, spices. Is there something I could do for you instead? No, she scoffs, but seeing her expression, continues with a serious look of her own. Mountains will kill you. You need years to learn them. The things of the woodlands are of no worth to us. Don't dare to say we need help of city folk. I bring news of great importance, matters of life and death. Hesitant, she answers slowly. Important to a Roadwarden of city folk, but not to the souls of... She says a few words in the old speech, and after your frown tries to translate them, though with a displeased frown, of the tribe of the Green Mountain. I point at the sky. I'll need to hide, sleep. She looks away and speaks with her neighbors, making you wait in silence. She then gestures for you to follow her to the shed just a few steps behind you, and draws aside the curtain covering the entrance. The rooms are filled with sacks, old barrels, and bone-made tools. You'll have a sleeping spot here. Leave the beast there. She points at the main path. We guard the village. It will be safe. Soon after, a few of the farmers bring a pile of furs, placing them in the corner. Move them there when you go to sleep. Your guide points at the center of the room. Okay, well, we already went through that. Alright, sleep, I guess. Alright, we should eat first. Okay. Sleep. We're also actually kind of running low on rations, too. The shivers wake you up. You open the door, seeing a few people sitting on rocks and logs. They're covered with the dense fog and warm up their hands with cups of aromatic tisanes. They don't talk to each other, just letting the pneuma enter their shells. Seeing the lights above the terrace walls, you've no doubt the guards are nearby. It too shall pass. Okay, you gladly leave the shed, making sure that Haas is safe and rested, and then prepare your equipment. There's but a few souls around, most of the guards replacing the night shift. The Saurian rider is yawning. Without the helmet, she reveals her short chestnut curls. She's already keeping an eye on you from the cave mouth. Okay. Well. Can't really do much there. So what was her specific words here? Something rare to us. A good blade, a good drink, spices. Well, we're gonna have to go to the different villages. It's gonna take forever. A good blade, good drink, and spices. Well, Eudosha is close enough. And we still have to deal with the tree from creeks. Let's go to Eudosha's first. You touch the cold shell, the monster's eyes glow red. Dane, come inside, I could use a break. The golems let you in. Enter the yard. You let Haas loose, but no soul shows up to greet you. The door of the house is ajar. I go inside. The chamber is meant to only have one dweller, but even in Hovlevan, it would be seen as outrageously tiny. The air carries the scent of sweat and dirty clothes, but more importantly, smoke. A couple of fish and other pieces of meat are hanging above the hearth, even though there's no fire left. Eudosha is sitting on the floor with her back leaning against the wooden step, legs outstretched, feet resting on a wooden pillar. She's staring intensely at a brown, thick cape placed on her knees. I greet her first. She nods but doesn't look at you. The house is a mess. If it bothers you, complain to the broth I made. Long pause. Take a seat if you want. It's getting chilly outside, and you don't act like a bandit so far. If you need a place to crash, stay in my shed. Just don't carry any candles inside. I store hay there. Oh, okay. Cool. I guess I can sleep here now. Rest next to her on the floor. She nudges you with an elbow. Just don't get weird. So what do you want? Maybe it's the right time to offer her work in the city? You glance at her absent eyes. She has shown you signs of trust, but you won't convince her with just a smile. The more you learn about the peninsula, the more arguments you'll have at your disposal. Ooh. I have something important to discuss. She puts her stuff away and looks at your ear, frowning. Are you taking off your mask? Let's see. I smile. I've got a good offer for you. Good for someone, but my soul has neither great means nor appetite. An awkward pause. Take a walk with me. I want to stretch my legs. While we're heading toward the gate, I tell her about my deal with the guild. You mention the merchants, the officials, and the high status of the enchanters among the city folk. She lets you speak without interruption, observing the surroundings. Still barefoot and with a worn robe, she looks like a cook in an herbal garden. You approach the pond, and she takes a deep breath. The geese in the distance are as gray as her irises. We're just in time. The air is still fresh. Her tone is hard to decipher, and she keeps taking long pauses. I built so much and over so many years. Now you want me to tie myself to some coin holders, or even worse, leave all this? She waves toward her residence behind. The city folk will start negotiations with the tribes as well. You don't want to have to be left out. You're close to the crag behind the residence, observing the heavy golems lifting large boulders and moving them aside. So far, it has formed a small pile of rocks that resemble its own limbs. You describe the support you've already gathered, as well as your further plans. I can either face the avalanche or wait for it to bury me, she summarizes, then lowers her voice. No one is going to honor my own will. Can you be sure the monks won't turn their neighbors against you? She cocks her to the side. So far, they've done naught to hurt me. I went as far away from them as I could have. I bother no one. Oh. Okay. Peninsula is a dangerous place with little help to offer. I know that better than anyone. You mention the monsters you've encountered, the destruction of Steep House, the undead of White Marshes, the troll from the old camp in Hag Hills, the plague, the missing hunters, her own fear of the bandits, her shoulders slump. I know the outside world outgrows me. Why can't it just stay away? You know how easy it is to suddenly disappear in this land? Just think about Astarion. I'd rather not. She rubs her arms above her elbows as if to warm herself up. I just hope he's alright. In Hovleven, you find all the snake bait you need, as well as other entertainments. She flinches. It's not like I smoke it every day. She picks a reed growing by the bank and examines it for a bit, then throws it into the water. But I admit, finding the flowers isn't easy. What's your decision? You answer a few more questions about the city, and her doubtful glances are slowly replaced with polite nods. So all I have is your word for now, but that's better than not. For a few more breaths, you listen to the branches and grass trampled by your feet. Finally, Yadosha looks in the distance and gestures for you to follow her back to the gate. I'll speak with your puppeteers, and I've got a little gift for them. Gift? A sign of goodwill. She waves it off. Let me gather my thoughts. You reach the front yard, greeted by Haas's curious snort. The enchantress enters your house briefly and brings you what looks like a plank made of rock shards. Tell them I made this 10 years ago. It should be enough to convince them my golems are real. But what is it? Well, she invites you to stretch out your hand, then grabs your fingers with her own. Her touch is cold. A keepsake from the time I needed to build my first sentinel. The rock clenches to your skin, from your wrist to your shoulder, like a sleeve. Your arm gets slightly heavier, but the sensation fades away. Hand while wearing this. Her words carry both pride and melancholy. It takes time to get used to my spell's strength. To take it off, just give it a rapid pull. Here. She grabs it close to your shoulder, and the golden glove falls away. Even though the rocks aren't connected to each other in any visible way, they keep their general shape. As long as you don't push any of the parts too fiercely, the new one will hold. I want to thank her, but I want to ask this too. Can I use it in combat? You better. A brief chuckle. Your punches will surprise ye. We need you back in the city and safe. I see. Okay, I'm gonna and low back. Thank you for your trust, Eudosha. After she meets your eye, her bewilderment gives way to a warm smile. Cool. It's a cool item. I don't want to give him that. Okay. Alright. Travel. I think we can make a loop, maybe. Let's go to Pelt of the North. See what they have there. Let's enter the inn. Okay. Let's ask him if he knows. Maybe he knows something. Something he'll say will be a clue. I want to learn more about the peninsula. Tell me about your travels. You must understand, you're roadster. People ask for your help. They don't think you'll steal from them when they're in bed. He pats his bag. It's not the same when you're a drifter. They don't ask me to stay, to marry their kids, or to help them with harvest. They just ask if I plan to pay for the room or buy stuff. You talk for quite some time, though it's difficult to uncover the details hidden in his tale. He claims he and his pack bird came here by boat, about which he refuses to speak. He landed just next to Gale Rock's large fishing village at the northern shore. People there were irritable and unwilling to idly chat with him, but opened their mouths after he helped them at the smokehouse. On sunny days, the locals hunt at the shore, and when it gets dark, they hide behind their walls, getting the fish. And when the weather goes to shit, they boil water for salt and put fish in it, then hop to the barrels. Though I don't know how, they don't have many trees around. Then they sell the meat to the villages and, places. He clears his throat for crops. I was told to stay away from White Marshes, though no shell told me why. I joined a group of fish traders who were going to Old Pagos and its monastery, but I hate that place. Everyone does. He shrugs. I traded there for a bit, but the villagers are cold. They spend days praying and talking on and on about their duty and are gray like an ashram. So I left once at dawn, me and my bird, and wasn't that a mistake? He was attacked by a short bear-like creature. He tried to run away, but following his bird was a bad idea. He fell over in the thicket, so the monster had time to get to him. I hit it with a bolt, wasn't enough. I kicked it so it bites my leg, tears my flesh away. I almost dozed off from the pain, but can you believe it? That lazy bird came back and charged at it with its beak. His dagger was enough to get through the surprised animal's belly. It ran away. How did you survive with such deep wounds? The bird was patient and let me lean on it. My ballista scared Griffs away, and we got to Hallersdale. That's where I found the elders. They agreed to heal me, but only for coin, and told me it's an exception. After a few questions, you assured that by elders he means the local druids, held by the villagers in great esteem. They didn't want to talk with me a whole lot, said I'm impudent. His tone was filled with mockery. You hear that? I spent time with Thais, at least she wasn't so boring. You ask him about her, and he's more than happy to answer. She's the mare, so to speak. Once you get there, she'll make sure you see that. You'll know it's her. She's short, and her blonde hair is straight and long. She wears dresses and rouges her cheeks like a merchant. I think that's what you pronounce that. He points at the scar on his own face, which doesn't help your imagination. She's not scary at all. At least as long as you don't ask about her wealth. Tell her a joke or two, drink some mead, or play dice. Her laugh is something else. So why did you leave Hallersdale alone? It wasn't smart to move to the ruins all by yourself. It's my trade. I shouldn't tell, and I won't. You already know all that you need to. Well, that wasn't very fruitful. Okay. A bowl of fish soup and a slice of rye bread. Let's see, sell the broken knife. It's pretty, but I don't have any blades to make use of it. I don't want to sell it. Okay, well, he's not helpful. Let's carry on. Let's go to the Elder's Cave. Ooh, okay, he knows about the statue, maybe. Giant from the Far East. His eyes get thinner and his voice more sonorous. I would not trust a stranger with the tales of the old tribes. Ask those who built it if you need it. Oh, okay, well, I guess he doesn't want to help me with that. There will be a lot of sun, but also plenty of cold winds. Okay. How about now? I was just too dirty. Okay. Oh, maybe that's more important than I thought, because I figured people that already trusted me wouldn't let a little dirt affect that, but maybe. His blue eyes are piercing through your skull and chest. The knowledge you gather helps the causes I find dear to me. That much I saw. Here's what you'll do. Kneel in front of the statue and pray with these words. He utters a bunch of nonsense. And seeing your confused look, he lets out a sigh. Even with these words in your tongue, you'll have not eyes to see through them. Speak with me and learn. He spends a few good minutes teaching you the phrases from the old speech until you're able to repeat them without mistakes, though also no comprehension. While your tongue is not used to some of the sounds, the rhythm makes you think of a poem and helps you a lot. You need nothing more. Okay. Well, we're not making it very far. Let's see. Hopefully we can make it there. I don't have time to talk. Boom. Okay. Go to the main square. Trader. Let's see. I think Ghost notices your arrival. He tells the other villagers to give you some time in private. Buying or selling? What do you have for sale? I don't have enough for the axe. And goods. He makes a satisfied grunt. Nice work, and you've even got the stylus. It'd make for a nice gift if I were to change the wax for a green one. Want to leave it here for 3 rings? That's still not enough. Forget it. Looking for flowers. I'd ask at Byron's. Her wife had some of those. After a few minutes, he brings you a clay pot with a plant not larger than your hand. It has a single flower and a couple of healthy leaves. Back in spring, Asterion asked us to grow them, but he's no longer around. That little stinker. Ever their presence annoys me now. 3 dragons, and I'll give you what's above the ground. Maybe it will grow again. You ask him what he knows about it. He picks it up to look at it closely, as if it's his first time seeing it. Well, the forest speaker from the southern cave told me 'tis a herb for potions. Snake bait, he said. I think it lures serpents. I'm not sure, but 'tis pleasant in taste, I think. Okay, I'll take it here. The 3 dragons. Ready for now. Okay, leave the square. Now, your services. Pay to prepare it. Okay. Boom. Good luck. Travel. How much time do we have? Phew. Okay, well. All pagos. Okay, well, they're not coming out yet, so let's go to the library. We can stay there. Ooh, I can't remember what they were going to make with that, but A brown and golden monkey is sneaking around the hourglass, avoiding the looks of the dwellers. She spots two groups of hooded figures with lanterns in their hands, either patrolling the area or strolling around. You call the monks by hitting the sticks, and the drawbridge lowers. Eiley welcomes you with a cheerful wave of his bandaged hand. Salutations, glad to see thee in one piece. His young companion is right next to him, observing the sky with a wide grin. Here, the mushroom and the snake bait. He reaches for them, then blinks and steps away. After a few moments, he brings an empty bucket and tells you to put the ingredients inside. Fine. The sharpening poison will be ready after sunrise. Okay, we sleep. "5 days left. If the peninsula hides any more secrets, you may not have enough time to unravel them. And I shouldn't waste another hour." Your shell feels weaker than your soul. During your morning routine, your eyes remain a bit cloudy. You keep looking around time and time again, making sure that no one is watching you. The first few monks are entering the yard, carrying their tools and whispering lazy conversations as they wash themselves in the brook. Soon after that, Eiley knocks on the door of the shed and opens it. His companion is holding her hands behind her back, giving you the charming smile of an innocent child. "I'm here to pick up the poison." He nods toward Decima, and she steps closer, handing you a small case. "Enjoy," she lets out a cruel whisper, while Eiley chuckles. "Remember, eat a good spoonful of it at once. Rub some into thy gums, but only once a day. The effect will last a good few hours, but will give thee one sorry mug next time you go to sleep." Okay. Yeah, we just don't have enough time. The Greeks. So he doesn't know anything about the tribe. Cleared the bushes leading... His eyes widen, he looks left and right, and then whispers, "Why would you do such a thing? Someone may now think there's a path there. I need that path." He observes you in silence and gives up. "Well, I'll trust the Roadwarden's judgment. Wait here for a bit if you may." It's away his tools. Once he returns to only wooden plank, "Take this and leave it somewhere on the trail of the bridge, will you? Maybe tie it to a tree." He hands you an old sign covered with dark reddish paint. "Blood there. You think? Then ask him if it's not too dark. It's the only paint we can squeeze out from the plants of our meadow." He admits and gets back to his work. Very well. Okay. Let's see. He leans away, giving you a surprised look, but then shrugs so nonchalantly that his hat falls on his back. "Nah, they use the old speech. It sounds like a drinking song of a seagull." He scoffs at his own joke. "They only talk to our elders, like Foggy." He whispers, "Aye, don't call her that. There was the time when they gave us seeds and spears on a visit, and we also brought them gifts to ask for something. What was it?" After he prates for a bit, you change the topic. Let's see. "Do you recognize this knife?" He reaches for it without thinking twice and brings it close to his face, studying the tiny details of the bone. "I do," he whispers. "It belongs to Admon's mother." He lowers it, but holds it tightly. "But she's not around anymore. Where was it?" He keeps chipping in until you tell him to listen to the end. He respects your wishes, though he frowns so much that you wonder if he can see you. "So there's no shell, only a ghoul. Everyone knows what that means. He'll wake up soon." He shakes his head as if to drop the thought. "It may be so." "Thanks for your help, friend." After these words, Ephraim is unusually quiet. "It's been many days since your friends left the village, Ephraim. They aren't coming back." He purses his lips but gives you a slow nod. "Aye, you found two of us. And knowing that they didn't protect each other, I think there's no point in waiting. We may still be surprised, but..." He lowers the wolf's head. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Well, we had a deal, and you did your part. Thanks, I think." He puts an open palm on his forehead and closes his eyes. Once he notices that the wolf's head obstructs his fingers, he takes it off. "But she'll like this head." His voice is empty. "He told me he'd get an even larger one. He looks at you. There are tears in his eyes, yet his voice is absent. "Yes, we had a deal. I'll join you on your own venture when the time comes, but I need to first close this ordeal." You ask him what he needs, but he puts on the hood and quirks his lips into a shadow smile. "Nothing from you, friend. I already spoke with the others. The wood is ready for a pyre. We've meat to roast. You did a lot for our little tribe, and we'd love to see you at our table. There may be some tears among us, but there will be laughter, songs, and enough of Foggy's cast to forget a thing or two." You suddenly realize the opportunity at hand. A group of vulnerable, dazed souls may open their ears to your requests. If you're on their good side and know enough about them, it'll be a perfect moment to offer them a covenant with Havlavan. I'm sure I can spare an evening. I assume it's Elo who's preparing it. I'll speak with him when I'm ready. Alright, well, I mean, we're getting some progress here, I guess. I walk away. Have a good hunting. Let's see. Don't expect many merchants to reach this place. Why don't you move your traps to Foggy's? Our hunters push away the beasts, but it's not safe enough for us to keep roaming from here to there on a whim. But you're right, Roadwarden. I'm just a farmer with the past. During the pause that follows, a cold gust of wind ruffles your cloak. It's Foggy who speaks with travelers and merchants and knows how to price wares and labors. We need both her place and her experience, but you know how these roads are. When we need to resupply, we send a whole expedition with a cart, not a lonely peddler. Okay, farewell. Let's see. Go to the carpenter. I was told to speak with you about the funeral rites. Let's begin the preparations. We won't start the fire before dusk. He puts away his tools. Our hearts are ready. But are you sure you have time, friend? I am. Come, I'll help you with the food. He stands up with a smile and leads you to the house of the gatherings. We talk about this and that. The rites take little time and go by without prayers, singing, or sacrifices. Family members share their memories and regrets. Every story you hear is vague, yet accompanied by understanding nods and looks shared among the tribe, as well as chuckles and tears that start long before the conclusion. After the years you spent in Havlavan, it's hard for you to imagine how familiar and intimate all of the people around you are. Even Foggy and her staff are paying a visit this evening. The tavern is closed. You now sit at a table, and the first few meals are brought in. The bowls are mostly filled with meat, but it's the humble loaves of bread, slices of cheese, herb sauces, smoked fish, and wild fruits that disappear first. The warmth of the bonfire is reaching your hands and face, comforting you whenever a cold gust of wind hits the square. The bone earring instantly vanishes among the logs. The cooks have pierced the chunks of game meat with long sticks and are holding them in the flames. There may be no priest, but I share the solemnity of the moment. The wood cracks beneath the flames. You've never seen the village of Creeks as quiet as it is now, but the way the locals face their mourning is anything but lonely. Pats on backs or hands are common, as well as long embraces and whispered condolences. As time goes on, more and more people rest on the stools and chairs, though there are a few exceptions. An old man with no legs is lying on a blanket, served by a girl who seems to be his great-granddaughter. One of the hunters steps away to get back on the watchtower, keeping an eye out for any being that may be lured by the noises. Shoshi is sitting on the front of a building, singing about the forests of the past and the gardens of tomorrow. The cooks are bustling about, bringing supplies from the house of gatherings and taking care of the roasting meat. Most of the children are only half awake. As the cups get filled with mead, ale, and cider, brought here by Foggy, Ephraim is the first person to sit down next to you, and loudly, though he's still observing the flames. His wolf cloak is nowhere in sight, though from time to time he reaches towards his head, as if he's not used to the wind brushing his black hair, now shining in the dancing light. Judging by the way he sways and hops in his eyes are, he's opened one of the casks a few hours back. How you holding up? I'm using my privilege of being still alive to heal, he starts with confidence, but then his voice cracks. Folks say I did nothing wrong, but, I could have, said no, stop them. And I've seen how, what's-her-face, Dahlia's little sifter looks at me. She's only 10, and now alone. I'm as useful as a spirit. Once you figure out what he's talking about, you try to respond, but he interrupts you by pointing at you with his mug. I'm now in your debt, we going on a journey? His eyes shift in anger. I was losing my wits waiting for you this evening. You kept me for so long, waiting. Can't you see those were my friends? As he rambles, his thoughts wander off somewhere else. And before he gets back to you, Eli gives him a pat on the back and places a full mug in front of you. I smell the contents before I drink anything. You catch the sweetness and distinct aromas of roasted malts. A single sip makes you think of a cookie, coated with caramelized sugar. Something you smelled a few times among the city stalls, though you never bought more than one at a time. The beverage is much stronger than most beers and ales you've tasted, but far from being dull, so you decide to enjoy it slowly. The carpenter nods approvingly, grabs himself a stump, and joins you with his own slow drinking. All three of you stare into the flames, hardly noticing a few more tribefolk that gathered behind you. The carpenter breaks the silence. How are you doing, Dane? Life been treating you good on the peninsula? I've had some good days. I'm making progress. Wonderful. He strokes his stomach and meets your eyes. Just don't disappear like a Asterion. He'd rather chase after something his whole life than walk away with little. Not unlike me, but also, he tilts his mug, pointing the mouth of it at the flames. Not unlike them. After a few moments, you realize that almost all of the adults are gathered behind you, observing you keenly. As the tension rises, you think about your blade, now resting by your saddlebags. It's Eli who asks the question. We owe you a lot, Dane. Why do you really help us? Havavan wants to reach this land. For your own sake, you should join it. Taxes for their protection, loyalty for the renewed trading route. Old Hava was right, says one of the farmers, so that's why they sent the second one, adds a woodcutter. The fuss stops as quickly as it started, cut by the loud voice of the drunk Ephron. Let the Roadwarden make a case for it. You glance at the eyes of the locals. Some of them are distrustful, others are curious, and a few are excited. Even though they already recognize many of the faces, the dancing flames make them look like a strange crowd awaiting a prophecy. Oh boy. Well, I mean, we can always just gamble on the random. It's risky, but you know me well. I have your trust. I wouldn't try to trick you. After a few breaths, one of the foragers speaks softly. Roadwarden has brought us a lot of good, and isn't just a city servant. A few eyes come from the people around her, as well as the brief anecdote followed on your deeds and words until Ephron reaches for his absent hood and scoffs. We have to listen to strong thoughts, not soft hearts, he says loudly, and the majority of the group nods in agreement. I know you don't have as many supplies as you need. Depending on animals you keep alive to butcher is another safe way to deal with winters. Some of them don't meet your eyes, as if to avoid admitting to the days of hunger. Ephron lets out a sigh. At the beginning of summer, I'd say, he pauses to break through the cloud of drink. We had more hunters than ever, but he takes a glance at the bonfire and turns back to the crowd quickly, clenching his teeth. Ela observes him for a moment, but doesn't comment on his behavior. We do have a field now. It may not be so bad. The rest of the tribe adds to both sides of the argument, though no conclusion is reached. You don't really believe this wall will keep you safe, do you? Without a forest garden, you lack wood, and you can't afford stone. You need proper guards to protect your homes and lumberjacks. Our wall has been enough so far, starts one of the farmers, but his partner, now holding an arm around his back, is more doubtful. We lost children, chicken, and food to the smaller beasts. We don't have enough eyes to watch everything. Eli chips in with his enthusiasm. If we hope to grow our families or invite new folks, we need more homes, more ground, a new wall. I'd rather have it be a strong one. Still, some of the locals would rather see more effort put into the new fields rather than a wall. One bad fire in the forest and we go hungry, mentions the forager, and a few others agree. You want to grow crops, but you have no experience. With the city's help, you may hire specialists to teach you everything you need to know and invest in the best seeds. Old Hava is quick to mention that the fine grain will cost much more than the seeds of wild fruits and vegetables. But as soon as she finishes, one of the hunters confronts her. Hava, you don't always know how to plant these seeds. I've heard about the plant beds having nothing but grass for more than a year. As he mentions it, the other farmers observe their boots, as if to avoid their angry head woman. Once the argument between the two gets a bit too bitter, Ephron nudges you to go on. Sooner or later, a plague will reach your village. Living in isolation will postpone this day, but once it comes, how can you know help will come? Your best chance is to keep people like me around. If you're so eager, maybe it's you who should stay around, mentions Shosi, but her herbalist friend shakes her head. We need not one soul, but a way to find many in its place. Plagues are stronger than one shell and will. Even though she says so, many in the tribe give you warm smiles. Well, maybe I shouldn't try it, but Foggy, won't you vouch for me? You know I'm a valuable ally, and the tribe depends on your tavern. The city will bring many more people to help you. She scoffs and waves at you with her only arm. Dear, you're but a stranger. You think I'd risk my good name for your games? Show me first you can survive until winter. Okay, I have nothing more to add. Then it's time for the discussion and the vote, and that's Ela. Judging for everyone to form a circle, and Foggy agrees. And fast. We wake up early. I want to reach the tavern soon after sunrise. Oh, and love. She looks at you with a wolf-like grin. Better take care of that before it burns. She points at a piece of roasting mouflon. For the next half an hour or so, you listen to a lively discussion, and the opinions are mixed. Many doubts are raised, some of which get buried by pointed replies and references to your previous deeds. but others stand strong. Finally, the voting occurs, and it takes a good few breaths to count the hands. You hear the result. The margin is small, but it's a no. Shit. I stand up. Few people clap, then most of them follow, adding a bunch of cheerful laughter and shouts. Eli spreads his arms, so his eyes are unconvinced. We will not participate in any negotiations for 5 more springs, he announces, starting another wave of joy. A few of the locals approach you to share a kind word and wish you a safe journey to the city. You recognize that they are part of the eye crowd, though their looks are far from sadness. The lively feast continues, and tension leaves your shell. All you have left are heavy eyelids and some time to kill. Well, I'm full. It probably doesn't make a difference, but... Oh, good. More muddy roads. Can't afford for it to slow me down. I have 4 more days. Okay. You reach your pile of furs with a full stomach and enough booze to make your head spin. You wake up after many hours, still tired, unable to swallow even one bite of food. The first thing you do after relieving yourself is gulp down half a bucket of water. The locals in the square wish you a good day, but many people are already preparing for work. Haas is well rested and satisfied with grass. Alright, look for Ela, about the eastern path. And that is where we're going to stop for today. We'll deal with the tree. I don't know if it's going to change their mind. I probably, screwed up. They're probably not going to talk about it anymore, but... So maybe we won't do the tree. We'll see. I'll think about it. We'll do it tomorrow. We should go and mess with the giant instead of wasting the day on that, actually. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time. I mean, with only a few days left, we'll probably wrap it up, see what happens. So, we will see you soon.